So first of all, to all of my Dharma friends, wherever you are, whatever country you are in, I wish to offer you my greetings, Tashidele, and my hope that you are well and happy. So today in this short time I will give some instructions, some advice on having achieved this human rebirth, this human life, how to make it something good and useful. So one of the things that we need to understand if we want to be able to achieve real happiness is that we call the self or my mind has traveled for many lifetimes, and within that we call the self or my mind are many imprints, both wholesome and unwholesome, good and bad, as well as we could say many seeds, good and bad. We need to understand that all of these various latencies are within us. So even if we can't necessarily comprehend with our eyes hundreds of rebirths, we can't see this directly, so it is hard for us to be convinced. Even if we observe just from the perspective of this life alone, we can see that there are many seeds, many potentialities that we are planting within our mind stream. So one of the things that the holy being said, which is kind of very important, is that in terms of the condition for achieving real happiness, that condition cannot be found outside ourselves. The conditions for stable happiness are something that are found within. They can only be found outside to maybe a very slight degree. And we need to understand that in terms of the seeds or the imprints of all of our activities, these remain kind of preserved or held within the mind in a stable way. So if we think about these imprints as being similar to external seeds, so we can think of fruit seeds as an example, like for an apple or an orange. No matter how high quality those apple or orange seeds may be, if we just kind of keep them in storage and let many, many years, even hundreds of years pass, even though they're high quality seeds, because we have not watered and fertilized them, they will just at most remain like dried out in stasis. They will not be able to bring forth fruit. So just like those fruit seeds that are held in storage, then we could say that definitely within our mind are many seeds or imprints for the wholesome and unwholesome. So similarly, if we think about those seeds or imprints within our mind that are very good, unless we try to activate them, unless we engage in the work to activate them, which is like adding the water and the fertilizer, those wholesome seeds will never be able to ripen. They won't be able to manifest a result. So also we need to understand that in terms of these imprints which are placed there through the activities of our body, speech, and mind, if we don't exert in making good imprints or seeds, we won't come to a good result. In fact, if we engage in non-virtuous or unwholesome activities, these will only plant negative seeds with poor results.
Ota kaze tata tembo chinen leka yapo chinen linga yuso ke chawate yapi shul kaze roya ke leka cheba yina tane pacha yapo te jwa se sabe yapo te jwa shea ke tane ota goso yo yales.
So if we really want to be able to achieve happiness, as we mentioned on the basis of this understanding, then as much as possible, what we want to do is to direct our activities of a body, speech, and mind into a good direction. And the more that we engage in positive activities of body, speech, and mind, not only will we be able to accumulate more and more positive seeds, but we will also be able to activate the potentials of those wholesome seeds.
Ota sabe yapo te je sabe kashe pena shi sabe no chedo le chene nyama kashe go yachi ko gozo ya leka pesi wo tonge duas. Pete no je no ge sabe yinayo ngaroso go leka te je to ba yina to와도 노도 nyamba kashe 로zo page mewazo nela yapo she to ya page 누구 따다지 대가 해서 이거
So just like you have some external seeds that if you add just a little bit of water and fertilizer, you can see over a short period, perhaps a couple of days, that a result starts to manifest, that they start to sprout a little bit. The same is actually true of these positive seeds within ourselves. If we nourish these positive seeds and engage in these wholesome activities, we will be able to see that initial result, like the sprout. We'll see that our negative feelings decrease and our sort of mental projections and so forth are less and less. Be happier.
어떻게 다 대응하러서 대시 다가지 대시 말에 대시 템보지도 부수서 봐야 보 지금 요아에서 대용하는데 다래가 가리까지 단단히 그래서 다 드리슐로 같이 이것도 들으지 말아지 자기스.
So Geshe is going to, on the basis of one verse today, thinking that if we want to go beyond just that temporary happiness, to be able to achieve a stable or even a perfect happiness, then what are the sort of things that we need to do? What are the things that we need to cultivate? This verse will touch on that.
어다 대용 가도 템비미 본도 대 자연주네 수일레라와 모차카네 데네 선보테 돈바시버스니 제바이 돈바시버스니 제바이
Kadam.
가도르치 센제 처한다 한도와 공개도나 대연절 어다디 줄로가치티.
So Geshe is just reciting the verse, which I have in front of me, so I'm kind of cheating a bit. In terms of this verse, it comes from a great master who I would say is like the founding pioneer, or you could say the founding personality or father of the Buddha's word as instruction lineage, of the Kadampa lineage, Gyalwa Jungne, also known as Dromtonpa, and the verse goes something like this. The wonderful speech of the Buddha, the Tripitaka, or three baskets, the excellent deeds accomplished by beings of the three capacities, the precious golden rosaries of the Kadampas by which migrators accomplish the meaningful.
그래서 어다 대용아도 니가게 대시 타두게 대시 퍼스서바 간디 선대와 여바이나요. 말어서 미리라 샘텔라 시라텔라 란디 타숨요아레스.
So then in terms of this temporary or ultimate happiness, however perfect that we wish to attain, we can say that this is attained on the basis of konda shirab riksumla tene yongyo.
Ya randilo umbo nombo umbo dindi umbo tabo melmelri damra yarwas.
We can say that this comes about through the varying wisdoms of the beings of these three capacities. So an initial sort of more limited wisdom, a middling wisdom, and a great wisdom.
다 대서 간디시나요. 소소가 지레가 제바이나 제 토비가 그게 롬숨 시부 중요도 되모이로 시원디도 되모이로 시부 챔빌런저런 바스는 단계 어다 지도는 드니진데 장이야레스.
So whichever of these three types of wisdom we may possess, then what we want to do as a human being is to begin cultivating the paths related to that capacity or wisdom. So this would be the stages of the path common to beings of a lesser capacity, the stages of the path common to beings of a middling capacity, and the stages of the path common to beings of a great capacity.
Oda tenyu pe ni je was ne rembo chi ge senji tiwa. Oda tenil pe cha tene nobu du chumare salo sambote. Od nobu sa de ngaro se si raba ina nang ma ina. One nika ge deshi da me sa ya tia de sa ne juba kanga kange sendwa logici yares.
So then the sort of analogy which is given to illustrate this practice of the paths of the beings of the three capacity is this golden rosary of the Kadampas. So these golden rosaries, it's that rosary that we sort of climb up to realization. And this golden rosary is something precious like a jewel. So the analogy is just like in the past, if you had found a very valuable jewel, this would allow you to achieve everything you needed in all happiness, food, clothing, and so forth.
This one, all that tendici is that tendici kuza lo randi ta sa sudu si na yo so so ko page. Lo ju che nyoles che ba ina. So
what is this verse telling us? It is telling us that no matter which capacity we are or which wisdom we possess, whether that of the limited capacity, middling capacity, or great capacity, if we study and practice the instructions as explained, then we will be able to work towards whatever we wish to achieve.
그거도와 오다 대용터니 다 수진이 이제 시부터 강의 되게 잘 해라. 알아서 녀자 강가 로로 녀자 주주인을 녀자 첨부인을 용화시키게 짜와들라 두이 숨지 세미다가 야레스 조조.
So another important instruction that I would like to share with you that comes from the Buddha and through all of the holy beings explains that any of the problems that we may experience, the difficulties that we may experience, big, middling, and small, if we trace them back to their cause, we can see that they can be traced back to the cause of the three poisons.
Tatem, do you say the Meva Shikitela? Ani, Benash, Tale Dogua, do you say Meva Shikitela? Lord Didijeva in Lord Lavasum Semichi Tagares.
So, if we wanted to sort of say in a very concise way or in a capsule, what are the practices, the corresponding practices, which will help us to get rid of these three poisons? Attachment, anger, and ignorance. What will help us get rid of these three poisons are the three higher trainings.
This one? Oh, that the Meva Shiki, they should to kick it out when they love to and Lavasum to us. Yeah, they should can't shake to so your was, or they never shake it. They should put it over to kick a low Lavasum Sena. Oh, that they just shake it. Hakusarwa, they just shake it. They should jacket, then some.
And so, in terms of, we want to be able to get rid of these three poisons, which are the causes of our unhappiness. And we understand that this is achievable through the cultivation of the three higher trainings. The place where these three higher trainings are explained is in the Tripitaka, or the three baskets of the teachings.
This one, oh, that and reaching my tongue, I think I'm the court that we can such as United, that is to us, Mosakan, then some Sate, Lord Lavas, or Deshi Jackie, use Tella, then some secretaries.
So then Geshe said that we explained it a little bit in a bit of a funny order, but in terms of the wonderful speech of the Buddhas of the three baskets, this is explaining the three baskets which are teaching the practices of these three higher trainings: ethics, concentration, and wisdom.
Oh, Tashivo Tombasuini, Mezalo Lava Sanole, Bane, Poke Kuba Dumasan, Ramba, Tembo Yopo Chayatella, Losum, Seningaruso, Kuza Serjaneba.
And in terms of what the holy beings presented, which allows us to be able to practice the three higher trainings in the correct stages, so like starting from the foundation and building upwards, what allows us to practice those three trainings in the correct stages is this presentation of the paths of beings of the three capacities, which we see in the second line.
어디시래 다 대응 알아서 녀다서 넘는데 녀다 제동 집한테 되게 시다고 시도 첨보 질 빼자 좋아 어다 던지기 시도 첨보데 매와시야 봐라 아니 리템보 라바템보 더니 진짜고 템보지 서그 돈에 매와시기 봐 노지 로로바 서그 돈에 매와시야 그야래.
So we can think about these afflictions that we explained, or the three poisons, as being like a poisonous tree. So let's imagine that we want to be able to cut that tree down. In order to be able to cut that tree down, you need a person with a healthy body, with a strong arm, and with a sharp axe. So the healthy body, strong arm, and sharp axe are like the paths. Labasum. These three components, the person, the arm, and the axe, are like the three higher trainings.
다 시도 첨보데 녀다 첨보 좀 빼자 시기요 하러 왔어. 다 시도 첨보 간데시 이나요. 대서 템보스슈나 시도 자완이 매바시에 도바 노지. 아니 저저가 라바 바동보 아니 띵엔제 리돈다와라. 띵엔제가 라바 돈다와. 시다가 라바 제돈다와. 템보스슈스나 어다 녀다 간데시 이나 제도지와 매바시에 도야
So then, in terms of if we think about this big poisonous tree, right, and then we want to be able to get rid of this from the root, we are able to do this when we have these three components there. So we have the three higher trainings, the first of which is ethics, which is like the strong human being, the second, which is concentration, which is like the arm, and the third, which is wisdom, which is like the axe. And so if we have these three, we can get rid of the tree and we can get rid of its root. We can get rid of the problems and the source of those problems.
오다 디디지 드리치레 스타로스 지워레테네 이나이 드리티세 몸에 생각서 대시 잘 싫어요 말다 서서서 로스 간디시레 아니 시오 중에가라 저쪽에 라바 쪼다고 지 돈이라 예라 소소를 치네바 쉬소나 링와 이에서 네바 쉬소나 기보메바 노지 예라요 테네바 시나 기보면디 와스.
So then in terms of, we don't have very much time, but just to explain sort of in a very concise way the paths of these beings of the three capacities, if we think of the small or initial scope as being connected with this higher training of ethics, we understand that this is the practice of non-harmfulness, because we understand just as I do not want to be harmed, I should not harm another.
오다 소소가 링와 이설 뭐연다 지금 소소를 칠럽게 기보유야세나 뭐노제 야보 링와 이설 그토네 샤와야 보시유소나 소소셀 내시지 용어디 와스.
And also we understand that if somebody were to use their body, speech, and mind to show us, for example, a nice expression, pleasant words, and so forth, to do nice things for us, then we understand that we experience happiness, right?
다 대학원에 소소가 링와 이에서 그토네 뭐도 던도 습도 쓸이나 아니 펜비송바 다 여보 지금도는 로토바이나 저쪽에 라바 쪼데 되는 거 주요 알아서.
So if we understand that, and on that basis we try to use our body, speech, and mind to bring whatever happiness possible to humans and animals, from based upon a wish to benefit, then this is the practice of ethics.
So the
root of all of that, we don't need to think in such a complicated way, is simply that I will do my utmost to benefit all sentient beings, and if I cannot benefit, I will refrain from harm.
다 디디트야 디디트니지 대에서 가윙원의 시티가 가르세거든. 제 동배 가르세거. 이배 가르세거. 배 간데서 자고 여기 오지는 여보 따로지.
So that is just a short introduction of what I wanted to explain today. So then with a happy mind, please review this verse. Think like, what is the first line explaining? What is the second line explaining, and so forth? And what is the meaning of the analogy?
다 트위치 디가기 있어.
So thank you very much. We shall stop here.